We have former Roland Garros champion and former World No.1 on our show today, Ana Ivanovic. With her aggressive style of playing, she reached the pinnacle of tennis and she created her own legacy. And she was also named as the 30 legendary woman in tennis, past, present, and future by Time. And also, she went on to register herself on the list of greatest players ever, male and female combined. So, Anna, welcome to our show. And talking about us, we at Essentially Sports, we are a digital media house. We started off in the year 2014, and today we cover about 13 to 14 sports, and tennis is one of our thriving divisions. So, how are you, Anna?
I'm very good. Nice talking to you.
Thank you. So, how was this year? How did you start off this year? Do you have any New Year resolutions in specific?
Well, to be honest, I think especially with the little kids, all you hope for is that everyone is healthy and happy. But of course, I have some goals that I set for myself, and last year was a big year for me, and I launched my cosmetic line. So there is a lot of work on that area. So I really hope it goes well this year.
Mm-hmm. So you have been keeping yourself busy all this while. So presently, are you getting some time to follow Australian Open in Melbourne?
A little bit, and being in Europe, of course, with the time difference, it's a little bit hard. But in the morning, when the kids go to school, I have some time to watch, and it's been really nice, and many surprises, and some of the old faces, which is nice to see.
Mm-hmm. So are you getting some flashbacks and recollections from your time over there?
Absolutely. I love playing in Australia. It was such a special place for me, and I always felt like at home. I used to spend my pre-seasons there. I have some relatives, and the crowds are just amazing. They're so knowledgeable about tennis, and they really get into the matches. And as a player, it means so much to us. So yeah, I always enjoyed, and now having flashbacks to 2008 and reaching the finals there, and I at this time of the year, actually, it's always the hardest because I always miss Australia.
So yeah, I can definitely relate to what you're saying, and you have had wonderful memories in Melbourne. So we'll continue talking about Australian Open later. But tell us something about your life at present. How does your day look like, and how is the second phase of your life wherein kids have become your priority?
Well, it's kind of a mix of work and motherhood. Of course, the kids are still little, so they are my priority, and I love spending time with them. It's such a different feeling, and it's so rewarding, and it's something that I always wanted. And yeah, they really make me super happy, and I really enjoy spending every moment with them that I can. But on the other hand, I also started playing tennis when I was 5. So it's in my blood to kind of keep working and keep moving and to have something of my own. I mean, tennis is individual sport and we are very independent. So for me, that's very important to keep on. And that's why I, since 2 years, I'm developing this cosmetic line that we launched, Ana Ivanovic Natural Performance, last year. So for me, that's important part also of my identity and also of learning something new, learning a new trade. Being a sports person, it's one thing, but once that chapter kind of closed for me, I was really fortunate that it opened up so many other doors for me, which I wanted to step in and explore.
So, first of all, I would like to congratulate you for starting your own sustainable skincare brand last year. It's called the Ana Ivanovic Natural Performance. And your cosmetics are meant for both men and women. And also active tennis players like Naomi Osaka and Jessica Pegula, they have their own skincare brands, Kinlo and Ready 24 respectively. So, what really motivated you to plunge into skincare division in specific and embark your entrepreneurial journey?
Well, I think with the age, you realize the importance of skincare. When you're young, you don't really think much about, cleaning your face or hydrating it. And then, of course, as I got a little bit older and traveling around the world, and you're playing in different conditions, you start to struggle sometimes with keeping the hydration or whatever other issues a person might have. So I was always searching for something organic because that's something that I live by. So I wanted to find something sustainable and organic, and I really struggled to find something in this division that really works. So in that search, I decided to create my own line. So I'm very very excited because it's something that works. It's something that I use on daily basis, and it's also very innovative. So we are really combining best of both worlds while still being conscious of not only the people but also the planet.
But Anna, you just mentioned about being people getting old and their skin, it changes according to the age. But to be honest, when I look at you, I don't see that. You're growing young, in my opinion.
It's my cosmetic.
Yeah,
Well,
no, no, no. I wouldn't say that. It's like your natural, why the natural glow that you have within you.
thank you. I always say thank you to my parents, to good genetics.
All right. And also, we heard a little anecdote about your entrepreneurship. Would you like to share the backstory how Jessica Alba, Hollywood actress, she became an inspiration behind your beauty brand?
Yes, absolutely. So we lived in Chicago for 3 years, and actually our kids are born in Chicago. So while being there
Hmm.
and being so conscious about being organic and being natural, I was always searching for different products. So I tried some of her products, and of course, over the last year she developed enormously. And but in the beginning, she was also doing a lot of kids organic shampoos and hand wash and laundry detergents and diapers and wipes and so on. So I started to explore that and to use it with my kids in the beginning. So it was kind of inspiration for me to create something of my own because, like I said, I started really to become um, more like not only a fashion lover but also a beauty lover as my career was towards the end because I started to have a little more time and of course now with the kids as well you don't have time, so it was important for me to create something that it's easy to use and very quick because I don't want to spend even 15 minutes in a bathroom. Like I want to do it in 3 minutes and to be ready and to have my skin ready and hydrated. So this was also one of the things that I kept in mind from my personal experience.
So you kept focusing upon the important time management, having a family, and entrepreneurship and other ventures that you are in. But I would like to know, like, you have reached the pinnacle of tennis, and so is entrepreneurship more difficult than being a tennis professional?
Well, to be honest, on some level, yes, because it's completely new, it's completely different. Tennis is something that I kind of lived with. It was part of me because I played when I was 5 and it just became my life. And now it's completely different, different perspective and different approach. So for sure, it's a completely new challenge, but I love challenges and I love to push myself, and especially if it's something that I love doing and I believe in. So that's why I'm constantly learning and growing.
Speaking about challenges, what are the difficulties that you recently faced while launching your skincare brand?
Well, I think it's coming from sport into the cosmetics. Of course, it's a completely different, let's say, people that know your target group, so to say. So I think just reaching this awareness in different spectrum and also creating trust that like was a tennis player, now I'm doing something in cosmetics. So building this trust with the audience that they really believe that this cosmetics works, and of course it's not me who is putting it together in laboratory. We have a professional pharmacists who are doing amazing jobs. So for me, it's just speaking and creating this trust that, of course, takes time to build. With the tennis, also it wasn't overnight. You play tournaments, you get better, and so on. So it's the same now, trying to create awareness in a completely different. in a completely different audience, let's say.
Mhm. So you are being so close to tennis. Tennis is in your blood. So, and right now you're doing something which is completely different. But are you planning to appoint any brand ambassadors from Tennis Tour for your skincare division?
To be honest, I didn't really think about it yet. We are just in a process of growing and raising awareness. But of course, I send the boxes to some of my let's say close peers that I used to play with and so on for them
Mm-hmm.
to try my cosmetics and so on. But in terms of ambassador, I still didn't really think into that direction.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, can you please tell us whom did you share your cosmetics with, like your best friends on tour? So, could you name them?
Yeah, some of them like Angelique Kerber,
Okay.
Serena Kirstea.
Ah. Mm-hmm.
Yes, and even like Caroline Wozniacki, we used to play together. So.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, all of them are legendary players that you named, and Kerber, I think she's also entering motherhood, and I think yeah. So do you have any advices for Kerber? Like since she's entering motherhood and she's also like a Grand Slam champion, World No.1,
we
just like
actually
you.
we actually do talk a lot.
Mm-hmm.
She also lives sometimes close to us, so we catch up
Mm-hmm.
quite often. And of course, it's
Wow.
complete chapter of life for her, so she's exciting and excited about it. And yeah,
Mm-hmm.
we share some thoughts and opinions. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Great. It's nice to know like both of you are good friends, two legends, going out together, and yeah, it's lovely to know that.
Yeah, and we
So
always
let.
we always
Mhm.
joke together. We have all 4 Grand Slams.
Yeah, that's so true. So let's jump into your tennis career a little bit. In the inception of your career was pretty much similar to your legendary compatriot Djokovic. Both of you were practicing under dangerous conditions, war torn areas, you were experiencing bombardments. Everything you underwent has made you resilient, even Djokovic as well. So, under these unplayable circumstances, like a few years, like almost decades ago, 2 decades ago, what really motivated you to choose an expensive sport like tennis as a career?
Well, to be honest, I must say, like, my parents did an amazing job because they never really let us feel anything about, let's say, like money problems or, of course, the war was super hard and we practiced through it, we lived through it. So it was very hard, but our parents really did best to kind of protect me and my brother. But for me, tennis was always a game. I started playing when I was 5, watching Monica Seller. So for me, I never thought about it in the terms of like I can earn money, I can become famous. But as the coaches were starting to say I'm talented and I could do well, I started to dream about playing against big players and playing big tournaments. But again, for me, it was never money driven or in that sense, or being famous. For me, it was just a game that I really loved. And of course, during these tough times, there were many times where we thought, okay, that's it. A few times I wanted to stop because I could feel that my parents didn't have money to put me in a higher group where I could improve more. So I was saying to my mom at the age of 10, I'm like, well, if you can't do that, then there is no point of paying this because I'm not improving. And then like little by little, and then my mom just recently told me the story that I even didn't know, that in 2000 in when I was 12, I was gonna go to the trip to La Petitas. It's a small tournament in Tarbes in France for the small kids. And my parents didn't tell me it was gonna be my last tournament. But in that tournament, I got a sponsor. And then everything's changed, and I didn't know this story at all. So, of course, my parents tried to hide the part that it was super expensive and super hard to kind of keep up and maintain maintenance at that time. But they just saw my passion and they supported me, and I'm of course very grateful for that. They will always be my best supporters. Yeah, my family and my brother. Yeah.
So you just mentioned about your early teenage years being so challenging, and it was so tennis was so expensive at that time to afford. but at the age of 13, in your life you experienced a major twist. You left your home country, you went to Basel to train because the country was offering you better coaching facilities. And with your mom, how difficult was it to settle in a new country, and what were the biggest challenges that you were facing during that phase of your life?
Well, the thing is that I never really left the country. I just used to go for trainings because I had now, at that time, I had sponsors, so I had a better facility, so I would just go to train. And of course, especially as a girl coming from Serbia, and Serbia not being a strong country where they could support their players, it was the only way for me to kind of train and improve. So me and my mom, we traveled a lot between Switzerland and Serbia and trying to to keep up and to train and so on. And it was in a way hard because I had 4 years younger brother who was only what 9 or 10 at that time when we were traveling a lot. And it's very hard. So my dad was mostly with him, sometimes the grandparents helping, and my mom, because she spoke a good English and she was next to me as I was just turning a teenager. So it was a little bit tough, but to be honest, my parents always did amazing job of us kids not feeling this kind of stress. And for me personally, I never saw any of that because I only saw the passion that I had for sport. And now looking back and having my own kids, I'm like, oh my God, how did you do that? How did you even let me go into the world sometimes alone without at that time no phones, nothing, And it's very brave for them, and also the trust that they had in me and the passion that they saw in me.
So tennis players often say the match that we see is just like 2 hours of show. And behind that, there's an army of people working in there. And in that army, most of the people are your family members. And I think it's definitely this case for you too. Like
Um,
family members sacrificing their time, sacrificing their dreams and everything so that you could live your dream.
Um, yes, but I guess it's a little bit like individual as well. I do agree that what you see of 1.5 or 2 hours of the match is just the small tip of the iceberg, and there is a whole different world behind it. But I must say, my parents were always just a support for me. They were never really involved in terms of coaching or even like managing. They were just there really as a support, where some players have different situations where their family is more into coaching or fitness or management even. So in that sense was different, but yes, it absolutely takes a whole team behind the scene to support and to go to go into the matches, and I always joke with my husband because it's such a different mentality coming from team sport versus individual sport, because in individual sport you have a team of people, but whatever happens within the team, it's your fault because you are the one performing. And in a team sport, whatever happens on a pitch, most of the time it's actually coach's fault. So it's completely like opposite, so it's really funny sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Yes, definitely. So after all this, like you underwent all the sacrifices that your parents made, your family made. You yourself, like you were hardworking and resilient all the time. What was that moment in professional tennis you felt, yes, we have made it? Like as a family, as a team, we have achieved that goal. So what was that one moment?
I mean, of course, winning French Open and being number one. You feel that because all your dreams and all the hard work and everything, it's like, yes, this is it. This is what I've been working hard for and dreaming of.
Mm-hmm. That's it. So even like before winning your French Open in the year 2007, you made it to the semifinals of the French Open, and you defeated back then she was world number two Maria Sharapova in the semifinals. And do you remember in how many minutes you defeated her?
Not exactly, but I think it was for sure under an hour.
Uh,
Maybe,
it
of
was a
course.
little bit over an hour. It was
uh,
65.
okay, okay.
Mhm.
I thought it was an
65 minutes.
hour because I remember I played really well that match. I think I served something like 12 aces, and
Yes.
yeah, it was very good, very very special year as well for me.
Mhm. It was a straight set match, yes. And in the subsequent year, in the year 2008, was definitely a thriving year for Serbian tennis. Like Djokovic won his first slam in Australia at the Australian Open, and you were the finalists, and you had defeated uh, Venus Williams en route to your championship match. And if I'm not wrong, the final match, it was a really close battle, and you lost to Maria Sharapova. And so, did that loss fuel the fire within you to win the very next Grand Slam in Paris?
Absolutely, and I must say, I just recently saw somewhere that that year in 2008 in Australian Open, six top seeded out of the eight made the quarterfinals, which is something that nowadays you don't really see very often. So it just shows you like such a powerful and strong field that we had. You know, with Justina Nan and Venus Williams and Serena Williams and Sharapova and Jankovic and all these players, and it was really an amazing tournament. And I remember playing. It was, I think, 7-5, 6-2, and it was a very close match with Maria. And of course, it definitely prepared me mentally for the French Open that year later. But it was very very hard match for me as well, because after experiencing the final of French Open the previous year, I really felt ready for that final. So it was not an easy defeat for me, but again, like, you learn so much and you try to improve.
Mm-hmm. So, since you mentioned about Venus and Serena Williams, I have to ask you one question. Like, what was something that they taught you? Like, what was something which, the other matches couldn't teach you, but, the matches against Venus and Serena, the lessons that you learned from their matches
I
playing
mean,
against them?
even though they're a little bit different, both of them have a very powerful game, and they really go for their shots, So it's this confidence that you can see and believe in their game. And even before I made it on tour and watching them, it was always like a dream to play against them, because they had this demeanor and they were having this aggressive game, which I also had. So having this confidence to go for your shots and so on, it's definitely something you take from their game.
So, what really differentiates them from, rest of the people on tour?
Well, I mean, both of them are quite tall, so it is a little bit like intimidating, and they have both very powerful serves. So in women's tennis, you don't have that many players with the big serves. Maybe now with the taller players there is some more, but it starts at the point like with so much pressure on, and this is something that was always very different with them. So you knew that you had to hold on to your serve and try to look for opportunity to somewhere break them, because yeah, they had this powerful serves that you knew that they were gonna probably hit an ace every game. So it was just trying to anticipate which side they're gonna go for.
Yeah, Serena's serve is definitely an iconic one. Even in the men's game, people fear, like when she's playing mixed doubles and all, men, even the ATP men, they're scared of Serena's serve.
Exactly,
So,
and she was very easy.
mhm. So speaking about your fairy tale season in the year 2018, you made it to, 20. I'm sorry, 2008. You made it to the Grand Slam finals in Melbourne, and then you were a champion in Paris, and by defeating Dinara Safina in the finals. And you were not just a Grand Slam champion; you were also crowned as the world number one. So, what are the memories that stand out from that historic moment of your career?
I mean, there are actually quite a few. Even the semi-final match against Jankovic, it's a very special match, because at that time
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that the winner of that match would become number one in the world, and my team
Okay.
managed to hide that fact for me. And at that time, there was no really social media, so there was no one to remind you of that either. So, um, so for me, that was really iconic because we had such a tough battle, 3 sets and 6-4 in the third set. And after that match, when I learned that I'm going to be number one, it was just incredible, you know. So, but I really tried to stay focused on my game plan for the final, because winning a Grand Slam is, of course, something super special. So, yeah, I was really happy. And Dinara had many good wins that year. I think she even beat Sharapova and a few other top players on the road to a final. So she had an amazing year as well. So it was a tough match, but I really was focused on my game plan and didn't want to think about number one yet. So yeah, it was unique 2 weeks.
Mhm. Since you mentioned about social media, I would like to ask you, like nowadays, everywhere we have stats going on, records being broken, and everything being projected on social media instantly. So by fans and by other tennis outlets, by other sports media houses, they are posting it, instantly, like during when matches are going on. So does it affect the performance of an athlete these days, like by reading all these stats and all?
I would imagine so. I mean, I know that even then, when you didn't have all that, the
Mm-hmm.
press used to remind you of that, and that was already hard enough. But having someone instantly remind you of every single thing, or every stats, because when you play a match, you don't really think if your opponent has a good score in a third set or not. You don't. You just play the match, you know. But nowadays, they talk about this. They talk about how many forehands they hit across, how many forehands they hit down the line. And I think
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it becomes too clinical. It's sometimes better to rely on your own instincts. And that's at least how I like to play, because I want to feel the opponent, I want to feel the ball, and I want to have that freedom without over analyzing, which I anyway did. So with this would be just an extra over analyzation. So I mean, I saw that now in Australian Open they also use Hawkeye for the line calls, which sometimes might be easier because I can see the change in players. It gives you like peace of mind, like, okay, you cannot argue, you cannot challenge, really. It's there, it's there. But at the same time, it also takes away this a human aspect a little bit. So it is a little bit hard because it's different. You're used to all these linesmen and you're used to all these different things. But of course,
Yeah.
it is way more fair if you think, okay, the call is called, because many times it happens that you have the wrong call. But yeah, definitely the social media and technology changed the sport a lot. Even when we go back and talk about strings and rackets, improving technology in that area helped many players to compensate for the lack of certain things. You know, if you miss spin, or if you miss power, or if you whatever, like you manage to compensate. So it definitely changed tennis in a way.
Yeah. So last month I was in conversation with Coach Wim Fissett. So he mentioned the same point as you did, the evolution of tennis. Back in the days of Steffi Graf, it was more of a chess game. Then when you were playing, Williams sisters were dominating, it was more about power. And right now it's all about technology. The sport, like technology, has taken over, all the aspects of tennis. So it's the same point as you made.
Yeah, and it is, and you can really see that, because in the times where I feel like I feel like I old, but in times that I played, and it really felt that the talented players naturally got far,
Yeah.
because they know this compensation of technique or power or so on. Whereas now, it's much closer. The competition is much closer. So it started to change already when I was playing, but now especially it's so obvious that not only technology but the mind. And now it's so much about mind, you know, and who can be mentally stronger.
Mm-hmm. Yes, definitely. And presently on tour, if you see, we have different champions every slam, especially on the women's side. What do you think about the present tour, and who are your favorites?
Yeah, I mean, that's something that it's of course a challenging and very different to see, because in let's say 10 years ago it was absolutely not like this. You had few favorites and you knew one of them is going to win. This also brings a little bit excitement, because also brings chance for younger players to do well, like we saw in the US Open final with Emma and Lila. I mean, two teenagers in a final, that's also very, very rare, and it was amazing opportunity for them to play on such a big stage. And now this Australian Open in particular, like Vika is doing well. She's back in a semi-final. So it's, like I said, it's nice to see the old faces as well. But at the moment, I think Iga Swiatek, she's definitely the one who is dominating, and you can see that she's mentally tough. She has a good game, powerful game, and I mean, Sabalenka has very powerful game too. She's doing well now, but again, it's putting everything together, with power, with balance, with with mental sides and so on. But yeah, it's exciting to watch. Like I've been watching some of the tennis this Australian Open, and it's been nice to see.
Speaking about Vika, you were the defending champion at 2009 French Open, and you had a match against Vika, and you were the defending champion, and she defeated you in the fourth round. Do you remember that match?
Yes, I remember Susan Lenglen.
So I think that
She's
must have been a. Mhm. Go ahead.
Yeah, she's a great player. We always had tough battles. We
Hmm.
played quite a few times, and of course, she's two times Australian Open champion, and she won. I think it was 2011, I believe, and she won back-to-back Indian Wells in Miami.
Mhm.
But yeah, she's a great player.
I think it was in 2016, I believe, 15 or
A stick-
16, not 11.
It could be.
Yeah.
My
Mhm.
years are
Mhm.
completely tough.
It's okay. Mhm. So yeah, it's nice. And also, both of you played at Wimbledon Juniors semi-final. Do you remember? Like that was your first match.
Ah, yes, yes, I do remember. I do
Mhm.
remember that one. Oh God, that was so long ago. I remember the court down court, I don't know, 18, 19. I remember. I think we played like 12-10 in a third set.
Okay, yeah, it was an interesting match. Hmm. So yeah, all memories coming back right now.
Yeah, exactly,
Mhm.
exactly. I mean, sometimes it's
Mhm.
of course very emotional, when you remember all the little things and the way. I mean, I remember actually another match that I had with her in Cincinnati in
Mhm.
2010, which was I think she had even two match points that I saved and
Mhm.
ended up winning match in a first or second round. And that was the year where my rankings dropped a little bit, so
Mhm.
that was a kind of a turning point and a comeback for me, and it was also
Mhm.
against her. So we know each other for a long time.
Yeah. And it's been almost 6 years since you hung your tennis racket. I remember in December 2016 you had announced like you are retiring from tennis. And what people think is tennis is professional tennis is indeed a glamorous job, but in fact it involves long flying hours, incessant training sessions, jet lags, and simultaneously there's a lot of fun involved for that one moment of glory which you people live. So what is that one thing that you really miss about, not being on tour?
Um, well, the one thing that I definitely miss is playing in the big events, like the Grand Slams and so on, and playing the last four, the finals and so on. I think this is super unique and special, a special thing. But like you say, it can be also hard from the side of traveling and so on. But me personally, I struggled a lot physically, because they always tell you sport is really good to do for your health, yes, but professional sport it's another level. So you push your body to the limits, and I had in 2015, just before Australian Open, I broke my toe, and it completely like it was super hard to heal, and then completely changed my my mechanics. So then I started to have a knee pain and hip pain and so on. So it was a kind of a battle a little bit. So for me, that was the big part that made me kind of decide, okay, you know what, maybe it's time to do something else.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, you made that choice to, skip tennis and to explore other ventures in life. So, and
Yes, and it's always super
Mhm.
hard. It's always super hard decision because tennis has been my life, and you know I still love it. But it was a point where I felt that I have to be honest to myself, and also see, you know, what I can do and what I maybe cannot. And for me, that was the turning point.
Since you love tennis so much, are you considering a comeback, or not in form of like a player, but as a coach, as a mentor in someone's box? Do we get to see you?
To be honest, I love tennis and I want to stay, of course, involved, and I still come to some of the events, but I really at the moment I can't see myself as a coach on tour. Maybe as a mentor, yes, but not really as a coach, because it's still intense traveling and so on, and the kids are still very little, and I want to spend time with them as well.
Family comes first. So,
Yes.
so in the year 2022, the very last year, we tennis world witnessed like retirement of big names, which includes Ash Barty, then followed by Serena Williams, then in 2 weeks, another 2 weeks, Roger Federer. So, did you see their final matches, and do you think uh, their departure is the changing of the guard, which is taking place in tennis?
Well, I definitely, I mean, it was a very hard moment for tennis, because Serena and Roger have left such a marks on the sport, and they were inspirations for many, including myself. So, yeah, it's absolutely tough moment for tennis, but we really need to make this transition and see new faces and create new rivals, you know, like especially in the men's tennis. I mean, Roger, Novak, and Rafa, and to some instinct also Murray. I mean, this rivalry, it's not going to be easy to recreate, and but I do hope that the new generations can really step up. On men's side, you see also many new faces as well as on a woman. So hopefully in the next year we can try, or we can see more of the rivalry, which I think everyone enjoys.
Yeah, definitely. So, I have some fans' questions for you.
Okay.
Who was your toughest opponent during your
Well, of course.
entire career?
Of course, playing Serena it's always tough, but later on, I must say I really struggle playing with Pliskova, because she also has like a very big serve and very hard to predict the game. So for me, it was a little bit hard playing her.
Yeah, but unfortunately, Pliskova lost today in the
I
quarterfinals
thought,
of Australian Open.
yeah,
Did you see that match? Like, I think
I did
it's the
it
time.
in the middle of the night.
It's in the middle of the night. Yeah, but yeah,
Yeah,
unfortunately, she
but I thought
lost.
so.
Mhm. And also, talking about your personal life a little bit, your husband Bastian Schweinsteiger, he was in the 2014 FIFA World Cup, and he was widely regarded as one of the most important contributors for Germany's victory that year. And especially, he was playing a crucial role in defending Messi in the final. If I'm not wrong, right after their victory, both of you met and you started dating. So, and right now, almost 9 years later, you have a happy family together. So, could you please tell, like, how did you guys meet and you ended up dating each other?
We actually met through a common friend. He was friends with the coach of Angelique Kerber, and of course, I'm friends with Angie. So we met in New York, yeah, right after. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, to be honest, I didn't really follow football at that time, but yeah, it was interesting.
Mhm. So in New York, like you were there for the American swing, or you just happened to be there?
It was during US Open, so he had some days
Ah,
off. It was in New York.
ah. So did he come to see your matches or something?
No, not. We
You
met
didn't.
after.
Ah, all right. So right now, like your kids are definitely your priority since you mentioned it time and again. So what is one thing that your kids have taught you and other ventures of your life, tennis, entrepreneurship, it couldn't?
Well, one of the things for sure it's patience.
Mm-hmm.
Patience and also being spontaneous, because in tennis and also in other ventures you kind of plan things, and it's you stick to the
Mm-hmm.
plan, you have the weekly plan and so on. And with kids, not really, you have to see how the day goes, and you plan things and then they get sick or whatever. So it really taught me to be more in a moment, and also being with them. They are in the moment, so you really have no other option, and it's really rewarding. And it was probably the hardest lesson for me to learn to not overanalyze and overplan, but I
Mm-hmm.
think I'm improving.
And also, my one final question to you: whom are you rooting for at the Australian Open? So let's start with the women's side first, because on the men's side, I think it's pretty obvious.
Yes, I think
Mhm.
Novak
Mhm.
is really on the road to winning it. I mean, there are other
Mhm.
players playing really well. I can't really see anyone challenging him, especially
Mhm.
towards the end of the tournament. And
Mhm.
now we come to the more difficult part, the women part, because obviously there are some players that are playing extremely well, but when it comes to the finals and semifinals, and anything can happen. It's about
Mhm.
being mentally strong, like I said, and also not let the moment be that overwhelming. So of course,
Mhm.
when I look at the draw, of course I would say like Vika has the most experience, and so on. Although she hasn't been in semis and finals in a while, so. Of course, it's a completely new challenge in a way, but I still think that she has that experience and that fighting spirit. She's been playing really well. So um, yeah, Sabalenka has been playing extremely well too, I must say. She's been really winning her matches easily. So and I believe they play in a semi-final, right?
Yeah. No,
So
no, it's Rebakina and Azarenka and
ah,
Sabalenka and
okay,
Magdalena.
okay.
Yeah.
So maybe that could be the final, Azarenka
So
and
yeah, yeah.
Sabalenka.
So I think that's your dream final.
Yes, exactly. So, and then like in final, I think anything can happen. Like I said, Vika has maybe more experience.
Hmm. So yeah, experience might outplay all the power that Sabalenka has. Maybe. Let's see. Mhm. So yeah. And who's the GOAT in your opinion?
From the men's side, you mean?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I must say Novak. I mean, I think he's very soon reaching the biggest number of Grand Slams. I think he might even do it this year, and he's just been dominant for so long, and also staying healthy. And like he says, he still has some years in front of him. So I definitely think in terms of achievements, it's him.
Mm-hmm. So you were really good friends with Novak. And do you guys get to speak to each other? Do you guys meet each other at least once a year these days?
No, not really. Last few years, no, we are not in touch, or we haven't seen each other in yeah, quite few years now.
Mm-hmm. All right, that's lovely to know. And so, Thana, thank you so much for your time today. It was a pleasure talking to you, and I learned so much about tennis, about your career from you. It was definitely, I had a wonderful time.
Thank you so much. Nice
Then,
talking to you too.
okay, thank you so much, Anna. Have a lovely day ahead.